to you. Dear colleagues, good afternoon. I'm glad to greet you at such spectacular conference concerning the DDMRP. I represent the Union of Professionals on Supply Chains. This is the biggest company of this kind in Russia. My presentation is dedicated to the trends in the supply chains. I will tell you not only about my opinion about these trends, but also about the opinion of the companies concerning that. And I will tell you about the tools of the improvement of the situation. The first four trends, number one, we see in our daily life that economical instability is there. This is a consequence of the coronavirus politics. This coronavirus is spread all over the world, and one of the factors is also sanctions and trade wars. Any challenges and trials lead to the more resilience of the company which can withstand such a burden. So these are regular closing downs of ports when some coronavirus is found there. You have certainly read the news from China. There were such cases there, and certainly there is an element of uncertainty while planning the supply chains. What we see in Far East on these days, there is a lack of turnover capacity of the infrastructures of ports. Now this issue is even discussed on the level of the president and the ministers of the country, and every day we see the measures which are taken by the leaders of the whole country. This is not a normal situation when the logistics issues are resolved at the highest level of the country. The reason is our times are very difficult, and supply chains, the structure thereof, the management thereof, the efficiency thereof, all that is a critical factor. On the one side, this is a very good news, because normally you think about logistics when the companies are having hard times. So these hard times are there. Then there is a shortfall of logistics resources and expensiveness. There is a shortfall of staff. E-commerce is taking staff. And in the companies which are engaged in classical business, there is a lack of staff. Companies cannot buy vehicles. There are queues for vehicles even with the supply in the year 2023. There is a shortfall of containers. So the waiting times for the deliveries from China, for example, are very long. Also, packaging materials are lacking, and it also leads to the increase in prices. Next year, we will have the challenges of the increase in prices for services and products, and the companies will have to increase the efficiency and the productivity of the supply chains. Then regulations, the pressure from the state is growing. There are more and more regulations to track the supply chains, to make these chains transparent, and we understand that they do that in order to get more taxes. As an example, I can name the system Platon, electronic markings, and so on. Whitewashing of the market is a new trend in the Russian Federation. The activities of the Federal Tax Service are growing, so the aim is to have more taxes and to hold companies responsible when they do not show due caution. And it all concerns their supply chains and the partners of the companies. Then social changes. The population is getting older. This trend is there in the whole world, in the Russian Federation as well. So there is less population which is able to work. So those who work have a bigger burden. Migration to the metropolis. Young people go to big cities because they are comfortable, they have higher salaries there, they have more opportunities for development there. But there is one point, the share of remote work is grown. People are not in offices all the time. They can work there where they live. The condition is stable internet. More companies use hybrid modes of work, so people can work partly from home, partly from offices. Creative spaces emerge where people can meet each other and to discuss. There they can generate the solutions for the improvement of the working processes. However, there are also challenges of the remote work. For example, the adaptation of the employees and the emotional engagement of the employees with their teams, especially of the new employees. Then digitalization, talents, as regards the personalization of the product. This trend leads to the lesser quantities of supply, so the costs are growing. So this trend should be balanced by the increased efficiency of the processes. There is a trend of the healthy lifestyle. So people want to support their health. Digitalization. While selecting the digitalization solutions, the increasing of the transparency in the whole supply chain should be considered. The effectiveness of the operations should be increased, and the value, the added value for the final consumers should be increased as well. Internet of Things, different technologies, that all should focus on bringing results for the businesses under the conditions of the shortage of resources. Retail consolidation and the further growth of the share of the e-commerce, regular lockdowns, closing of physical point of sales and remote work leads to the demand for the omni-channel sales. So you can buy goods online and get it at a place which is convenient for you. So the infrastructure should be better, and the logistics should be more flexible. Maria Day, director for the new format of Ozon, said on the 12th of October at the 7th Congress of the Logistics Managers, she said that the companies shall accept that the logistics will cost more, but not every manager agreed to that. But anyway, the logistics should be made more effective. Hard discounters, they are developing quite well. I can mention Svetofor and Tijik. Why are they developing? Because the income of the population is decreasing. These are optimized, they have optimized supply chains, and Russian discounters even develop other markets, for example, the market of the US, so you can scale these technologies. Also, a very important point is fighting for the talents. Nowadays, the employer is ready to hire any grad because there is a shortage of staff, and you do not have a big choice, and the quality of the preparation of the graduates is not that high. So the task of the companies consists in the work with talents. So they should detect talents, develop talents, and retain talents in their companies. So strategical tools for the improvement of the supply chains of the producers. I will just give you some example. There are 3 moments: the building of the team, online platforms for learning and development, for the planning of the career. Nowadays, the importance of the micro learning is growing. There are online platforms which work 24 hours per 7 days, and the employees can get the knowledge which is important for the operational work. There are joint programs with other participants of the market. I will give you an example. There is one Russian program, supply chain leaders, 7 companies take part to that: Пятерочка, Перекресток, Metro, Cash and Carry, Coca-Cola, HBC Russia, Danone, Unilever, and FM Logistics. So these companies work together, they learn together, and they implement cross-cultural programs, which is really cool. So within such projects, the new approaches, new tools are born, and employees understand the peculiarities of the work in the supply chains. Then another factor, the optimization of the losses. The whole chain supply should be analyzed. It should be understand what is creating value and what is cost intensive. So what should be done? Joint and integrated planning of the supply chain, then the limitation of the resources, setting of priorities, resource recycling. Here, joint usage of assets and resources is meant. Now, in my opinion, there is a very important trend. The development of the partnership, for example, joint planning, coordination of teams, of functions and operations among each other. The more participants and dependencies there are in the supply chain, the more valuable the joint planning is. It means that all resources are accessible for the other participants of the supply chain. For example, the machines of Unilever are used for the deliveries of the Coca-Cola HBS products Russia when there is no season. So it is very important to determine the potential for the increasing of the effectiveness by the means of using the resources jointly. We'll have only 2 minutes. I'm finishing. This is the last slide. Strategical directions of the development of the supply chains, new forms of partnership. These forms should be focused on the cost savings from the joint usage of resources. And number two, they should create the possibility to have solutions for complicated challenges, which is not able for separate, possible for separate companies. The minimum costs, minimum possible costs is an important factor. Their trend, the following trend will be growing. Logistics will be a separate direction of the business in order to earn the money. Then the focus is made on the free capital. Then risk management. This is very critical nowadays because the uncertainty is growing each day. The situation in the world is not clear. And the last point, the increasing of the effectiveness of the infrastructure. In the US will spend $1 trillion on the development of the infrastructure. It means that the infrastructure is a very critical factor in order to sustain the sales, the production, and the logistics. And then the last one, differentiating solutions. So, dear colleagues, I covered different trends. I covered measures taken by the Russian companies and tools used by Russian companies. I hope this information was interesting for you. I'm finished. Erisbek, thank you so much for your interesting presentation. You will have the recordings of the speeches on the Telegram channel, and you see the contact details of Erisbek if you would like to get in contact with him. I would like to to thank the organizers of the event. This is such a spectacular event.